It's been 4 days since Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 took off, and we still have no idea what has happened to it. But we do have some new information. It's coming from a spokesperson of the Malaysian Air Force who's revealed that perhaps we do know some things about the route that it took. Now, if we come in here, we'll see the city where this plane took off, Kuala Lumpur. It was heading for Beijing. But as you can see, instead of going further north up towards China, the military is now saying it may have turned to the west, which is why the search, which initially was focusing on the Gulf of Mexico, actually is now focusing on the Malacca Straits, though we cannot be sure exactly what happened still. That is just one source from the military. But of course the search is continuing by sea and by air on both sides of the Malaysian mainland. Let's see this report from the BBC's Alice Budi Satrio, who joined one mission over Vietnam.
I'm on board one of the Vietnamese search and rescue helicopters. We're going out more than 100 kilometers away from Phu Quoc Island, where the Vietnamese Search and Rescue Command Center is located. Officials here are using their naked eyes to try to spot oil spills or objects or anything in the water that seem to be out of the ordinary. So it's easy to see why, in the past few days, Vietnamese officials have thought they spotted something that may have come from the missing Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, and they turned out to be false leads.
Thank you very much to Alice for that report. Now, of course, there's astonishment around the world that a plane can disappear like this for days. And one way that people are responding is by getting involved in crowdsourcing. This is where huge groups of people come together online to work on something that could be very time-consuming for one organisation or one individual. Now, this is a screen grab of one site where lots of people have been going. It's offering satellite images and asking people to look through the detail. It's actually very hard to get onto it at the moment because the amount of people trying to do that. Let's go and speak to Jane Wakefield, BBC technology reporter. Hi, Jane. So if people were to go to this website or others, how would it work?
Well, in this case, I mean, they just literally want people to kind of be able to look through images and kind of come up with things that, as you say, they want to get this done in a timely way, and one person is going to be able to, 10 people are going to be able to do so much more than one. But generally, often crowdsourcing is used in natural disasters, and then they can use tweets, and they can use Facebook posts, and they can use online mapping and satellite imagery, and try and find ways of drawing all those tools together to provide sort of real-time information about what's going on.
Thank you very much indeed for coming by. That's Jane Wakefield, BBC technology reporter. Now I'm coming back here to the OS screen because there's been a huge amount of attention today, not just on this search, but on these two men. They are young Iranians who we now know used stolen passports to board the flight. Interpol says both men were Iranian, they had no criminal records, and that they left Iran illegally. Now, leading the coverage of this particular element of the story has been BBC Persian. They found out a huge amount of information about these men. They tracked down a high school friend of one of them. Here you can see BBC Persian covering the story. They spoke to him in Kuala Lumpur, and this gave us details that would later be confirmed by the authorities. Now, BBC Persian, after that interview was put on air, put this friend in touch with our correspondent Jonathan Head in Kuala Lumpur. He went along to meet him. This is the interview.
Mohammed is a young Iranian living in Kuala Lumpur. He's asked to keep his identity hidden. The two men, one an old school friend, came to stay, he said, the night before they left.
He found me in the Facebook, he found I live in Malaysia. So he said I'm coming to Malaysia tomorrow. He said he's in Malaysia for 2-3 days, 3 or 4 days. After that, he's going to Frankfurt, Germany. He wanted to go to his mother.
A quick reminder that Outside Source isn't just here on BBC World News Television. I'm live from just down there in the BBC newsroom every day on BBC World Service Radio, 11 hours GMT, so 7 hours before we're here on the television. And you can get us online. We tweet lots of information that's relevant to the stories we're covering here on the TV and on the radio. At BBC OS is where to find us. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll speak to you then. Goodbye.